Good evening, everyone. I want to first apologize for us getting in here a little late. We had a lot of stuff going on in exec, but we'll move things along and hopefully we'll catch up. First thing, let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Logan, would you please go through the public safety message and our ground rules?
Good evening and welcome to the August 26, 2024 business meeting of the Patchogue-Medford Board of Education. In the event the fire alarm system should activate, please leave the room via any one of the marked exits. Proceed out of the building and away from the building. Please do not attempt to enter your vehicles and leave the property, as you may impede the arrival of fire apparatus. And we will let you know when it's safe to come back in the building. Additionally, smoking and the use of all vape products is prohibited on school property in New York State at all times. And when it's time for the public to be speaking, you will be limited to 3 minutes per person with no sharing of minutes. Please refrain from naming specific staff members or specific students. I will warn you at 2.5 minutes that you need to wrap it up, and we ask that you adhere strictly to that 3-minute warning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. We're going to move on to item number 4 on the agenda, a public hearing regarding changes to the District Code of Conduct, and Dr. Jones will lead the way.
The notice of public hearing states, notice of public hearing, Patchogue-Medford Union Free School District. Please take notice that the Board of Education of the Patchogue-Medford Union Free School District will hold a public hearing at Saxon Middle School, 121 Saxon Street, Patchogue, on the 26th day of August 2024 at 7:30 p.m., prevailing time to hear community input regarding changes to the District Code of Conduct, at which time members of the public will be given the opportunity to ask questions and make comments regarding the recommended changes to the District Code of Conduct. Dated August 15, 2024, by Dennis M. Logan, District Clerk.
Thank you, Dennis. Good evening to all. Every year, this time of year, we are required by law to review and update our District Code of Conduct. It does require a public hearing, and so we are here tonight, and I've asked the district-wide safety, some of the committee members are here in attendance, and I've asked that a presentation be developed that is going to apprise the community of changes that have occurred by law that the state has mandated to the Code of Conduct so that our Code of Conduct is updated. In addition, so that will be explained during this public hearing, along with some other updates that are relative to security for the district, including the threat assessment protocols that the district-wide committee has been working on for the past year. All of this comes together to make sure that our students are safe physically, mentally, and emotionally as we prepare for the start of the school year. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole Simonella, John Ahern, to begin the presentation. John is our Director of Security.
Just waiting for the presentation. We actually need the district-wide safety plan.
We're doing that public hearing. It's 2 separate public hearings.
So let me just say this before you get started. There are 2 separate hearings that are taking place. One is relative to the District Code of Conduct. There are no changes and updates to the District Code of Conduct, but there are changes to the district-wide safety plan. Trustees, I'm not sure if you require me to just kind of summarize the purpose of the Code of Conduct for the community. Okay. The purpose of the Code of Conduct is to have, it's a 30-page document, and it governs the way that we manage the discipline for the students and the staff for the district. It provides a range of consequences depending on the response. Is it a first-time offense? Was there confusion associated? Was it intentional? It provides a range of responses to how we provide consequences so students, staff learn from whatever transpired and hopefully don't repeat the actions again. There are actions that occur on a daily basis, and if they violate the code of conduct, it is incumbent upon an administrator that is responsible for that employee and/or student to respond to that. Some of it can result in a suspension, a superintendent hearing, or some other response by the district. So we don't have any updates to the district code of conduct for tonight. And it was our recommendation that we suspend a second reading so that that will be in place for the start of the school year going forward.
Okay, so now the public has to be given an opportunity to speak before or against the code of conduct, and then you'll vote on the code of conduct.
So we'll ask them to come and make comments.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody that would like to come up and make any comments in reference in regard to the code of conduct, this would be your time to step up to the mic.
Hi, Sherry Costello, Evergreen Avenue, Medford. So my question is with regard to suspending the 30 days. And I think when I was first reading it, there's so much in here tonight that I was a little bit confused. But item T in the agenda says we're suspending the 30 days for policy 6147. Did I misread? Are we doing that twice? Or, because there were no track changes to the code of conduct.
No.
And so I saw that. Now, looking at the policies that are changing in here, like, for example, there was something with regard, and it's so big, but I feel like one of them had to do with the code of conduct talked about search of students and the use of detectors, weapon detectors instead of metal detectors. There were some track changes in that. Are those all?
That's different.
Okay, they don't all go together. So this is.
That one has more than one reading associated with that we don't need for the start of the school year. But the code of conduct you want to have in place, and because we're going to have situations that arise, and we want to be prepared to say the board has acted on this, and that's typically why annually we suspend the second reading, because it is.
So those policies that are currently under review, which would fall under a code of conduct type of behavior, that could have a consequence or something
That
like
would be
that.
separate.
They're separate. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Asking for a motion to accept the revised code of conduct, accept the code of conduct.
Do a roll call vote?
No, we'll do a straight vote on this.
Okay,
Motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The code of conduct has been approved.
Thank you so much. And now we'll proceed to the second
We can go to the
portion.
Public hearing on that.
Okay, so there's one more notice that has to be read, Mr. Aher.
Notice of public hearing, Patchogue-Medford Union Free School District. Please take notice that the Board of Education of the Patchogue-Medford Union Free School District will hold a public hearing during a business meeting on the 26th day of August 2024 at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time in the Saxon Middle School Auditorium at 121 Saxon Street in Patchogue, New York, to hear community input regarding proposed revisions of the district-wide school safety plan, at which time members of the public will be given the opportunity to ask questions and make comments regarding revisions to the district-wide school safety plan, which has been posted on the district website, pmschools.org, beginning on July 22nd for a 30-day public comment period. The Board of Education may vote to approve or reject the changes. August 15th, 2024, Dennis M. Logan, District Clerk. It's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Happy end of summer. So we're just going to go over really quick some of the new legislation and some of the requirements in the district-wide safety plan. So we are required by Education Law 807 and 2801A of Commissioner's Regulation to have a district-wide school safety plan and a building-level emergency response plan for each building in the district. And what these plans do is they prevent and/or minimize the effects of violent incidents and emergencies. They also help to facilitate the coordination of schools with local and county resources in the event of such incidents or emergencies. Education law and commission's regulations also require schools and districts to create several different safety teams, including the district-wide safety team and the building-level emergency response teams. So this is our district-wide safety committee. It's made up of numerous different entities. We have the superintendent, who's the chief emergency officer for the district. We have a member of the board, Mr. Negrin, the president of the Board of Education, myself. Nicole Simonello is a part of this team. We just added Dr. Chris Kelly. He took Mr. Epstein's position. He's the assistant principal at Saxton. Dr. Kim Hochberg is also a new member. Carol Siccignano, she represents transportation on the team. She was added about a year ago. We have representation from the teachers with Timothy Ritter, and our parent representatives with Dan Harris, Suzanne Berenz, Jody Moran. And we also just added, as per new legislation, we're required to add a bus driver to this team, and also a bus driver is required this year to be added to the building safety teams. So we added Felicia Cardella. She is a new member of the team. So responsibilities of this chief emergency officer: coordinate communication between schools, staff, law enforcement officers, and first responders, lead the efforts of the district-wide safety team in the completion and yearly update of the district-wide plan and the building level plans, assist in the selection of security technology and the development of procedures for use of, coordinate the appropriate safety, security, and emergency training for district and school staff, including required training in the emergency response plans. This is kind of a new, this is some new legislation, this last part. Ensured drills are conducted in a trauma-informed, developmentally and age-appropriate manner that does not include props, actors, simulations, or other tactics intended to mimic a school shooting or other acts of violence. This is new legislation, and I will explain a little bit further in detail as we move along. So the plan requirements: district-wide safety plan must be reviewed and updated annually by the district-wide safety team, which we did last week. The plan includes policies and procedures for responding to emergencies, policies for contacting and coordinating with law enforcement and the community, prevention and intervention strategies to improve communication between students and staff, policies and procedures for annual school safety training for students and staff, policies and procedures related to school building security. The district must hold one annual public hearing on the district-wide safety plan that provides for school personnel, student, and public participation, which is what we're doing tonight. And the district-wide safety plan must be adopted by September 1st and submitted to the State Education Department no later than October 1st. So this is just a quick summary of some of the new legislation that came down from the SED. They've added some new terms and definitions: trauma, trauma-informed, and trauma-informed drills. I'll explain those definitions in one moment. Full-scale exercises: they talk about conducting full-scale exercises, simulating a violent incident, and the fact is that we are prohibited from doing those exercises unless certain procedures are followed, and I will explain those. And we will never use students in those simulations or active type drills without permission of parents, and I'll get into that a little bit. If a threat assessment team exists, which we have just developed, a description of the establishment in a school multidisciplinary behavioral threat assessment team and its purpose. So this is the stuff that has to go into the district plan and the building plans. Floor plans and area maps, I'll talk about that in a little bit. Early dismissal drill. We do this on an annual basis. We test our communications, our transportation, and our notification system to parents, and we train students on what to do if they have to leave school early and where they have to practice where to go. So there's some new notification procedures. I'll talk about that. And that falls under the notification of drills to parents, students, and staff, and the bus drivers and monitors. Like I mentioned, those had to be added to the teams. So these are the new definitions. Trauma. Trauma means an emotional response to a deeply distressing, disturbing experience, such as, but not limited to, an act of violence, natural disaster, abuse, neglect, or loss. Trauma-informed means an understanding of what trauma is and how it affects the physical, emotional, and mental health of students and adults. Trauma-informed drills means avoiding tactics in training or drills that may introduce or activate prior trauma, such as use of props, actors, simulations, or other tactics intended to mimic a school shooting, incident of violence, or other emergency, or inclusion of developmentally or age-inappropriate contact. And to recognize that drills may inadvertently prompt a negative emotional or psychological response in staff or students because of previous exposure to trauma. So again, requirements that we're putting into the district plan, bus drivers and monitors, we're including them on the teams. We're also including bus drivers and bus monitors in policies and procedures that affect school personnel, and where applicable, require that district-wide school safety plans include information regarding school or district-level threat assessment teams. We're also required to establish procedures regarding notification to parents or persons in parental relation regarding drills. So, drills and training must be conducted in a trauma-informed, developmentally and age-appropriate manner. So there's no surprises. We're not doing surprise drills. We're talking about drills beforehand, and we're talking about drills after, especially lockdown drills. We're notifying parents. Some of the new requirements that we are now, as of July 31st, is to notify parents of upcoming drills. Not necessarily specific times or dates, but within a week, parents will be notified of evacuation and lockdown drills. Students and staff are also informed when a school is conducting a drill. So we don't have to notify students and staff for evacuation drills, fire drills, but we do have to notify them before we conduct a lockdown drill. Requirements for schools and districts that opt to participate in full-scale exercises may not be conducted on a regular school day and when school activities such as athletics are occurring on school grounds. So in the event the district decided to do a full-scale exercise, which, to be honest with you, I don't see us doing that anytime in the near future. Regulation says we can't do it on a school day and we can't do it when athletics are taking place on school grounds. And we're not going to do it with students. We're not going to use students without parental consent. So some of the amendments, new requirements for the building plans. Floor plans and area maps must be submitted as part of every annual building level plan submission to the state. So each principal is required to upload building plan. For first responders in the event of an emergency, they have access to certain critical areas in the building, whether it be gas shutoff, electrical panel, fire panel, etc., things like that. Critical areas of each building. So that's a new requirement. I have to say, reviewing the building plans recently, we've been doing that already. So we've been ahead of the curve on that one. Drills and training, like I explained, we're not going, no surprises. Everything is as far as lockdown drills are concerned. We're going to put a drill team together beforehand. We have school resource officers come in and participate. I participate in every lockdown drill, and we're going to make sure that everybody in the building is notified before we do them. Requiring that drills occur after annual training in emergency procedures has been provided to students and staff. So annually, students and staff are required to be trained in emergency procedures. We have an online system for staff, and the principals train the students during the first couple of weeks of school. And one of the new requirements that we've already been doing again is ensuring that drills are done on different days of the week and different times of the day. So we may do drills during lunch periods, gym periods, recess periods, things like that. And again, this is stuff we've been doing. And parents must be notified of all drills within a week of conducting a drill. So my recommendation to principals is parent square. You know you're having a drill, you put out a parent square within a week. You have within a week up to the day before to let parents know that we'll be doing a drill. And I guess that's it. That's the last page. Questions? Sure.
Can you just explain, unless I missed it, there was something there about a full day drill or a full, what is that?
So full exercises using simulations and props, we don't do that
Okay.
in this district.
What was the one where it said you won't do it on a day when there's sports?
So it says that we can do it,
Okay,
and if we are going to do it, there's a procedure to be followed. And that procedure, part of that procedure is we're not doing it on school grounds during a school day, or even if there's athletics going on.
okay.
So
Because they would be coming outside, like, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm missing something, or am I not following? Okay. with the first person.
I don't necessarily use this, but I am familiar with some. I do conduct these large scale with law enforcement.
Okay.
So it's just new legislation that has come down to just make sure that we're not doing it with kids.
Intent of it is that it's very distressing for parents that may not know if it's real or not, for staff, for students that may not know. It can be very triggering. And so they want it to be that everybody understands that this is a simulation and that there is parental permission should we decide to participate in a full scale. We feel that what we've been doing has been working. We've been trying to do things in cafeterias, at recess, at different times throughout the day, so that we know at arrival, at dismissal, so that we really try to make sure that we have it down and not entertain these things that could be very terrifying for our staff, students, the community, etc. So we are finding ways to work around that to make sure, but in the event that that was something to be considered, we would have to have permission slips from parents, and we would have to have a notification really a week beforehand to let parents know of what we're intending and still get a permission slip.
So the second part of this presentation, we just want to update the community and the Board of Education on all the security upgrades we've done with the ARP monies that we received back from the COVID era. If you recall, we had tried to put about $5.8 million aside to do the Univent upgrades, and when that failed by the community, we then recirculated that money to do security upgrades. So this is what we've been doing and what you'll be seeing coming to fruition for the start of the school year. So at the end of last year, you may have started seeing new metal detectors. We brought these to a Board of Education meeting to show everybody some of these upgrades we would be doing, and now they're being put into place. So last spring, at moving up ceremonies, graduation, concerts, athletic events, basketball games, we had the new metal detectors being put into use. We will be doing the same sort of thing, not being used daily. They will be used in that same form unless Mr. Ahern feels that they need to be put into use on a daily basis or just a surprise stuff up at the high school. We did purchase 20 of them district-wide, with the majority of them being up at the high school and then others being deployed at the middle school, about 8 of them. So 12 are up
And
at
they
the
are
high school.
portable.
Yes, they're portable and
And they
can be
are
moved.
state-of-the-art.
We've also purchased vape detectors for the secondary schools. We did a good pilot this past summer for summer school, and they did work really well. At the start, we did catch quite a few students, and by the end of summer school, we were basically almost free of vapes. So they are being used well. They're detecting, which is what we want to do. They will be put into place for the start of the school year. And Mr. Ahern's been working with all the principals on how to use them and program and all that stuff to get the alerts. So again, that's at the secondary schools, high school and middle schools. We were able to purchase 58 new AED units to be put around the district and to have on all floors at the high school. The middle school's district office has 2 new ones and even more portable ones. And they are been deployed and they're all up and out to all the buildings now. We're about 85% installed with safety door locks for all classrooms. Mr. Noonan did give a presentation about this and a sample, and it's just a push of a button. It's a red button on the back of the classroom. So some doors we needed to purchase doors and the locks, and others we just needed to take out the lock and retrofit it for the actual lock too.
So I just want to be
Yep.
clear to the trustees, 550 classroom doors were retrofitted, utilizing the money to make sure that in the event that we go into a lockdown mode, that they can securely press the button and lock the doors.
And we will be also doing this for your main offices, your guidance offices, principals' offices as well. But we did the classrooms first, and then we hope to have the remaining done by the end of September, early October.
Just explain what AED, what that stands for.
It's for automatic defibrillator. Yeah, for heart. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I should have. I'm sorry. I'm just so used to the term being out there. My apologies. Yes. You'll be seeing at the high school right now, it's completed at the south entrance and the main entrance, transaction windows. So if you're used to going to, it's like a bank teller, when you go to a bank teller and you slide stuff, we were able to retrofit that building right now with others that are in progress. So right now, Barton, Bay, Canaan, Eagle, Medford, Tremont, Oregon, the Saxton PPS entrance, and South Ocean will all be retrofitted. They're kind of in progress right now to have these transaction type windows so that if a parent forgets something, but they don't need to get let into the building and go through the whole process of getting your license or passport, you can just slide whatever you need under and go about your day. So we're working with that, and that should be done hopefully by end of September, early October. Unfortunately, there are 2 schools due to the nature of how the buildings are and the front entrances, River and Saxton main entrance, because of their structures, we can't accommodate a transaction window there. But doesn't mean they still can't. They might just have the table outside in the vestibule that you may be used to seeing how we've been doing. So that's how we'll keep it there for those 2 buildings.
The goal is to minimize the unnecessary traffic into the buildings so that we can maximize the safety of the students and the staff.
We've also purchased window screens for all windows district-wide. They've been installed so far at Canaan, Eagle, the high school, Oregon, and Tremont. And the others, Barton Bay, Medford, South Ocean, River, and Saxton, will be complete by middle of September, end of September as well.
So the ad here is that we know that many individuals have an allergic reaction to bee stings and wasps, etc. And so this was a major undertaking to get all of the windows to have screens, but that secures the building from a safety perspective, but also from any unwanted insects getting into the building.
So we don't have everything done, school's gonna start, it's gonna
And
be
they'll-
hot. So
yeah,
then what's happening for the?
We're, actually, it was just a lot to be done, and our maintenance staff and custodians are busy cleaning the internal buildings to get the classrooms ready. We had to wait for the items to come in. This was grants, and they had to be used by the end of August, and so we're waiting for the merchandise to come in. Some of it was back ordered because of the enormity of the orders and the amount of orders of different things. So We have our maintenance staff working on retrofitting all the doors. The next step is getting the screens on. We had to get the doors and the locks done first for the classroom. So we're working on it. We're doing everything humanly possible. They are working around the clock to get as many up and done by the start of school. It's just the manpower.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's anything in place for, the buildings that have second and third floors for the kids and the teachers, if it's, I don't know, what if it's really hot and they can't open their windows because the bees will come in, or like, so is there an alternate plan in the
Well,
meantime?
usually it's the first floor that is the challenge with not being able to open the windows. The second and third floor, they get hotter as you go, but those, you can open those windows. It's the first floor that we're most concerned about in terms of, from a safety perspective.
Right, but the bugs were the ones for the second, that was not the same.
I mean,
It's like the bee
I
problem,
mean,
unless we got rid of our bee problem. I don't know.
yeah, no, I don't think we try to get rid of it, but every year they somehow find a way back. I think what we're doing is, it's been a long-term issue that we're finally addressing, and we're doing the very best we can to get it done as soon as possible.
Now, what about, so we're talking about for River and Saxton, that you can't do the,
Transaction window,
based on the way that those areas are
the
set up.
construct,
So what's
yes.
the long-term plan?
So the long-term plan would be, if you recall, we had a similar situation right after Sandy Hook with Canaan Elementary, and we actually did a capital plan to address the entryway, because the foyer, they didn't have the ability to kind of block in an
Right.
area. That was the one building that didn't have it. And so we actually had a capital plan. So, great question. One of the things that we can do, and we always have in the front here, a security guard and a greeter every single day. But if we're going to address the construct of the building entryway, we would have to talk to the architects and draw up some feasible way that we could address this. And then we would just have to implement that and recommend that to the board. So that is something that we could
Yeah.
ask Mr. Mazie to talk with the architects about, so that we
Yeah,
address
I
those
think we
two.
should. I think there has to be you can't just do it to these schools and then leave 2 schools out.
Agreed.
Yeah, trustee, that's a wonderful point, and it was not done with any kind of intent. Certainly, there were restrictions within the ARP monies, as Dr. Jones mentioned, within which we had to operate, by which we had to spend these monies. So we've already said, once the structure did not lend itself to this, now we moved to Plan B. And we knew Plan B wasn't going to fit within the confines of the ARP spending, but we're going to come back to the board with potential solutions. They may not be, like I said, the same, but there may be some alteration, some similar configuration to it, but it won't be
Yeah.
as simple, if I
Well,
can use that word, as a transaction window.
No, understood. I mean,
Yeah.
I get that, but at the point when you were doing the transaction windows in the other schools, these schools were done too, and the plan should have been set forth. I understand if the funds aren't there, it becomes a different funding issue, but the plan on how to do it, we should already have.
Well,
That shouldn't be something we said, oh, we're just going to leave it out for now.
no,
Can't fund it.
that's a fair point. We did mention that Saxton, the other side, we can do that. We just can't do the front. So if indeed a parent has to come around to the other entrance for Saxton, we're trying not to make it inconvenient for
Right,
parents
sure.
as well.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, security's all about holes, right? You can have all these great securities, and then you got a hole. And that's your problem. So when you look at that, you have to make sure you're addressing all of them. To leave 2 things out that, okay, great, we put a guard there. We could put a guard in all the schools, and why don't we just do that? Because that's not the best solution. This is a better solution. We know that. It's working. It's working in the other schools. You can't just walk in. You've got to be checked, for multiple reasons. It's working.
I think
So
your
we
point
just
is
have to, yeah.
well taken,
Yeah.
and we will definitely address that. Thank you.
If I may, I have one quick question about the safety door locks. Those are teacher controlled?
No, the students have the ability just to press the button too.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no,
So
it's
they can
it's as
be sent-
simple as you press the button. Like when they show the video
Okay.
of how to do it, they actually show like a pre-K student doing it because it's that easy. It's a press of a button and you walk away, and it's just a deadbolt lock right across the door.
Okay, and
Yes.
that can it be overridden by someone else somewhere else in the building? No.
Not from
No.
the outside.
No, no, it's not electric. It's cylindrical. It's
It's
manual.
a physical manual.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's a
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
I have a question. In terms of the AED machines, how many do we have? And are our teachers and coaches all certified to have them? So like, is there one like outside on the field if anything happens? Since
Yes,
that's
so
mostly-
the athletic office has portable ones. They had portable ones prior to us being able to purchase additional ones, but they always bring them out to the fields, of course, yes, and the coaches are all trained on how to use them. All the administrators get trained yearly on CPR and how to do an AED. If teachers want to, I don't know, Lori, Ms. Canetti, do you know if teachers get trained?
No, it's not mandatory. I think we. Yes. Yeah, that was, Nicole just said that, but I think the point is that there is sufficient coverage should we need to utilize one, because of course also our nurses are trained and phys ed, teachers. So there's sufficient trained staff members in every building to potentially cover a crisis.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm trained and certified, and Mark is as well, and it's not a hard training for an AED. It's pretty self-explanatory on how to do it. So why everybody doesn't have it is just, crazy. But I understand your point. There's definitely, so many people do have it that there should be enough coverage at any point. And as far as the locations of them, does everybody knows where they are? Because half the problem is, okay, I need the AED. Oh, okay, where is it? Do we have them
Well, I
centrally?
think one of the things is that when we go over our emergency response plan at the building level, they go over that with the staff. So one of the things when we have conference day next week and all the principals meet with their respective staff, these are the types of things they go over with their staff. They remind them of, they meet, they go over things so that everybody knows how to handle emergency situations.
Nicole, the AEDs outside, is there a central location between fields that has them?
I'd have to ask the athletic director.
I think that's a great question, but remember that we do have radios everywhere. So if we need it, and we have the golf carts everywhere. So should we need to get from one location to another, there are radios to report that there's an issue in John's. People are they're also trained. All the guards
Yes,
should
and
be
they
trained
just came in.
as well.
Yeah, they just came in at towards the end of the year. So I know Anthony was working on a plan as to where he was distributing them and working with all the building principals and the directors as to where they all were. And then I'm sure he's been working with his coaches now that preseason has started. And I do know they're outside on the fields, if not against the wall, in the back wall of the high school, and most likely down by Raider Stadium as well. We also have Stop the Bleed kits in every nurse's office and main entrance, and we've updated them since when we did the big deploy of training every staff member, and I mean every staff member got trained several years ago. And now Mr. Ahern has bought new updated ones, which is your trauma kits with your tourniquets. All of his security staff is trained in how to use them. So we have new updated ones with those as well. So we do have a lot of wonderful things that we've been working on and training. And I know Mr. Irwin has trained his staff with the Heimlich remover because some of his staff members have actually performed it and
as
save
we
some
know,
lives. Yes.
have saved lives here of children.
And now those are all placed in the cafeterias. He just went over that with all the administrators this morning in a meeting. They just got purchased a few weeks ago, and now they're in every single cafeteria by the point of sale systems. So a lot of really great, wonderful things that are happening and making sure that everyone's safe. The last thing I just want to touch base on here is lockdown shades, which are going on every single classroom door. They have been purchased, they've been delivered, and they're just about finished, I want to say, probably by all the custodial staff, on all the doors. So as someone may lock the door, there's a little Velcro strap, and it just comes right down. So that's another great thing. And the second update will be to the main offices as well, guidance offices. So that's going to be happening, but the classrooms will be completed by the start of school.
So Trustee Andrade, you had asked the question about the screens. And so it's important to note that the priority was get the locks in, get the screens in, the pull-down shades, and then finish the screen. So it's kind of like we're trying to get it all done as quickly as possible, but prioritize as best we can with the manpower we have. We're just very proud of our custodial and maintenance staff because so much money is saved because they have the expertise to do this in-house. So we're very fortunate that we have the staff that we have. And our whole purpose in bringing this is because Superintendent Goal number 6 is all about district safety. And so Mr. President was present last week when we had our district-wide safety committee. I see Jody Moran in the back who was present at our meeting. I'm just trying to see if there were any other community members that were present, but well, he's not community member, he's a staff member, but many staff members, we were there. But the goal was to make sure that we're all on board before we present it for the hearing, and that you as trustees will know what we spent, that $5.8 million of ARP money, which had to be spent by this August or we would have lost it, that it was spent. It was spent in a way that maximizes safety. And now our goal will be to implement all of these purchases into the emergency response planning.
Okay, so I'll finish up the last few. We've been able to update our PA system. We're in the final stages, which is amazing. James has done a phenomenal job of getting this all in and helping train the staff members. So all equipment is received. Medford, Oregon, Canaan, Bay, River, South Ocean, and the high school are complete. Eagle, Saxon, and Tremont, it's just the final configurations that are taking place. So that would be ready most likely for the start of school, if not like a week into school. And the last school that just needs to get completed is Barton. So the hardest part of cabling is complete. Now it's just getting the equipment, it's all the configuration pieces, which takes a little bit of time, but they're not without a PA system. This is an upgrade and it's a replacement, but they do have their current PA systems in place. So if not everyone's up and running, they do have a system in place. I want to make that clear that we do have PA systems in place. This is an updated, much needed update and a replacement with new bells and whistles, which is great. All teachers have the ability now to call 911 right from their classroom. They're able to, call from classroom to classroom within the building. So it has a lot of great features now for safety features, and eventually it'll be able to call lockdown too and talk to the different system with our lockdown system. So that'll be the next phase, but they are able to call 911, which is really important. So that's a big, big thing. Next, we have our camera and strobe light upgrades. We've purchased an additional over 200 cameras to our already robust camera system that we have in the district. Mr. Ahern met with every single principal and walked the building with them to see where they felt they needed extra coverage. So it may be in, it may be out. Again, no classroom cameras because that's not allowed. And right now, Bay, River, Medford, and South Ocean are completed, with Oregon almost complete. Tremont, High School, Eagle, Barton, Canaan, and Saxon are all in progress. So these are just additional cameras. There's already cameras there. It also gives the ability for strobe light upgrades. And what was found as going through walkthroughs, that when you're in a space like this and there's a musical going on, you may not be able to hear a lockdown. So we've added strobe lights which blink like as if you're walking up to the building, into those loud spaces. So your gymnasiums, your auditoriums, your music rooms, your band, orchestra, choral rooms, and cafeterias all have the strobe lights now to make you aware if there's a lockdown being called. So really great, important things that are needed. These are all in progress. Some are completed and some are in progress. And we've also added additional strobe lights to the outside. So wherever there is, right, a badge. Yeah, you'll see the lights flashing. So it's not just those few doors. We've added additional ones too as well. We've also added, as you can see, as you go to every building now, additional fencing where it may have been needed, and also parking lot gates to every single building district-wide. This has been completed. And we've also purchased an additional 60 handheld radios to be given out to staff members, security guards, wherever we feel that it's needed. John has the autonomy to keep some and just keep moving them around district wherever they feel it's needed, or if someone needs an additional one, or there's a radio out for repair, we have now a robust amount to keep safe and just kind of pass out when needed, or if we just need additional radios.
So we wanted you to know, as part of this hearing, how we've spent the money, how we have physically strengthened the security protocols in each of the buildings. So we know that we came to you about a year ago saying this is the game plan for what we're intending to do. So we wanted to share before the start of school that all of this is ready to go. And for the projects that are well underway but not quite finished, they'll be finished very soon. And we will be prepared to secure the safety of our students and staff as we prepare for exciting opening next week.
Thank you.
And I commend Mr. Ahern, Nicole, certainly James Richroth, and all of the staff members and administrators that have contributed to this robust plan. And Paul Noonan, and all the maintenance staff, all the custodial staff that have been working around the clock to get our buildings ready for the start.
Okay, now would like to ask for community comments on the presentation that was just made by the Safety Committee.
Hello again. Excellent, lot of good information. I have a couple questions. What if the district notifies the community about a drill and then you can't do one? Maybe there's snow day, maybe there's something else and it doesn't happen. Is there any consequence or problem
Sure,
with that?
we certainly would go through Parent Square and just notify the school of a change, and then we'll notify them at an updated time that we.
I guess I
intend
meant
to
more
have.
from the state, since they're mandating that you let us know. Is
Oh,
there any
they
issue?
should care. There are timeframes within which we have to do fire drills, evacuation drills, and lockdown drills. As long as we do each of them within a specified time frame by months that they're due, they're fine if we make a change to a given date due to an emergency of some sort.
So the state made a bunch of different changes in there and mandated certain things. Was there a mandated period that they offered it to the school boards or to the district office or to the state residents to comment on the changes that they made about things that they may not have
No.
been happy about?
We. Oh, the comment period.
About all these changes happening on the district safety plan? Okay. I got to get on their website. The new cameras, can you tell me a little bit about their capabilities, how they move, do they zoom, do they have audio, that type of stuff?
John?
So we've updated the majority of the old cameras, and we've added new cameras. And we're in the process of adding cameras. We did this entire project, every building. So we looked at each building, we assessed each building. We looked at cameras that needed to be replaced, and we looked at cameras that needed to be added, interior and exterior. So as far as the technicalities of them, I'm not an expert, but I will tell you they are excellent cameras. We just installed a camera at the high school, an exterior camera, and you're able to zoom a good 500 yards. So they can capture any person or incident or suspicious vehicle or suspicious person. We don't listen. We don't have the capability to listen. Yes. Yeah.
Detectors. It was stated, not only here today, but other days, that they're really great at catching our kids. Are we going to put out there in their Schoology or Parent Square or whatnot that these are out there? We don't want to catch kids. We want to prevent them. And so give them a heads up as school is starting that, hey, if you do this, they're in the bathrooms, they're in the hall, they're in the gym, they're in the locker room, whatever it is, don't do it. These are the consequences of getting caught once, twice, 3 times. The beginning of the school year is coming. They're now up and running.
Well, every school year at the start of the year, particularly, at the secondary schools, we go over the codes, the expectations, all of those things.
And my expectation is do not vape.
Right.
It is unhealthy, it is bad. They should be. But especially like the athletes, might have college things coming up and things, and put them in a situation where they're now suspended and in trouble. We want to say to them up front, don't do this in school.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, and one last thing. You put up some track changes on some items up there, and I saw them when I was reading, and this is only because you showed it up there. I'm bringing it up now. I have trouble seeing the green. It used to be red. I have no red and green colorblind issues. I'm not sure why you changed the color, but the green is very difficult. The track changes on the new policies are coming up green.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the additions were always green and the things crossed out were red, but there's no more red, it's all green. So just as a point of reference, because it was hard to see up on your screen, I couldn't figure out what that was from my distance.
Okay.
Oh, last question about the button. I don't want to put out there any, but is there a plan if the kid is in the classroom, pushes the button, like, how do you get in?
So there are plans, and we go over classroom management from
Things
day
related
one.
to high school, and then just step up for a minute to talk to a parent. You got your eyes.
Keys.
So just thank you.
They get locked out there.
Hi, 2 quick questions. The vape detector. What?
Please identify yourself.
Sorry, Vicki Ivins, 120 Pennsylvania Avenue, Medford. Hi. With the vape detectors, are they only alerting the administration, or are they alerting the PD or FD? Fire department or police department? Only staff. Okay. There are. Cool, because I know some places that it goes to the fire department.
No.
Good. The other question is, with the AEDs, anybody can use them without consequence from the district, and the question comes from the Narcan training we did, because with the Narcan training, it was specifically said that only the nurses are allowed to administer it, not security, not anybody who went to training. So with the
I
AED.
believe it's a little different for AED, but we'll double check
Okay,
and get back to you on that one.
thank you.
No other questions? Okay, Dennis, we can call for,
Could we have a motion to approve the district-wide safety? Let me read the resolution because it's rather comprehensive. Whereas the district's district-wide safety plan has been reviewed and revised by the district's administration and school safety committee, and the Board of Education held a public hearing on the proposed plan on August 26, 2024, and completed the required 30-day public comment period. Therefore, be resolved, the Board of Education hereby approves the revised district-wide school safety plan for the 2024-2025 school year and authorizes the district administration to submit it to the New York State Education Department. We need a motion, please.
Make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's 6-0.
Trustees, there is one other piece to this, and I'm not sure, as time is getting late, whether I should put that piece on hold for a subsequent meeting or not. But there is a part 3 to that, and that is relative to the threat assessment protocol. That is Carolyn Candela's committee that was co-led by Mr. Ahern. Now, that is the third part of the safety plan that has been done. Is that, do you want to see that right now, or
Did we approve it just now?
but you did, you approved, no, you approved the safety plan.
Okay.
This is a piece as it relates to a new part of this that has nothing to do with the plan that is required by the state, that we have done to go above and beyond to make sure that mental and emotional students that are risks that we are monitoring for the safety of the district. Okay, so.
Thanks, Nicole.
Nicole.
Good evening, trustees, Dr. Jones, members of the cabinet, community members, and other faculty and staff that are here tonight. So I'm going to talk about behavioral threat assessment and provide a brief overview. So as Dr. Jones had mentioned, this is in alignment with her goal number 6. And she also did mention that we began this work over a year ago in August of 23, when several members of the administration team attended a webinar training held by the Secret Service on having threat assessment protocols for schools. And it was a recommendation. Many schools don't have this in place, and some do. So I want to share with you, these are the members of our team. Of course, John Ahern with me, Director of Security. We have Miss Joanne Louisa, our Saxton principal, Mr. Derek Robinson, our secondary AP at the high school, Robert Christie, one of our district-wide psychologists, Ms. Ronnie Tavares, district-wide social worker, who is here behind me in the audience this evening, and Mr. Damian Walsh, one of the high school deans. So when we began this work, the U.S. Secret Service has a guide enhancing school safety for threat assessment in schools, and they really outline, I believe it's 7 or 8 steps that we went through. And one of the first things that we determined we needed to do was to define terms, to give us a common language. So what constitutes a concerning behavior that would rise to this level? And then beginning to establish these threat assessment procedures and creating a central reporting mechanism. So we'll have a status on eSchool, similar to our students at risk status, and we'll have, working with James Richroth, we're going to have a Teams folder so that the buildings will be able to upload their documents, and our cabinet and administration team members will be able to access that information. And we're working on updating. We submitted them policy number 5153 for updating as well. So just to give you some background on what is meant by behavioral threat assessment, because it is different from risk assessment, which is a term that we would use more for a student who may be exhibiting some self-injurious behavior or suicidal ideation. So behavioral threat assessment is a form of a violence risk assessment to assess individuals who may be threatening harm to themselves, to others, or to the property. So it involves a multidisciplinary team that we will talk a little bit more about in the upcoming slides. So it's a proactive approach to identify and to assess and then to provide those appropriate interventions for behaviors that are deemed to be of a certain level of risk. It is not a disciplinary process. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the upcoming slides as well. So again, this is from the U.S. Secret Service, so it just kind of summarizes that it's about identifying, assessing, and providing appropriate interventions. It's focusing on behaviors, not traits or profiling. It involves a multidisciplinary team and identifying those behaviors and looking at each behavior in context. And again, providing students with supports. So how can we utilize our existing school resources, and what other resources do we maybe need to look into to put in place to keep everyone safe? So it's not a criminal investigation, it's not a disciplinary process, everything is in alignment with our code of conduct. It does not involve zero tolerance, and it does not replace other student support programs. So just to kind of give you a little bit of context, some statistics here. So in 2019, the Center for Disease Control, CDC, they have a nationwide youth risk behavior survey, and this was administered to over 13,000 students in the United States. And what they found was about 1 in 5 school students reported being bullied on school grounds in the prior year. 8% had been in a physical fight on school property in the prior year, and more than 7% of students had been threatened or injured with a weapon on school property during that prior year. And 9% of students, high school students, had not gone to school at least one day during the prior 30 days because they reported that they did not feel safe, either at school or on their way to or from school. A little bit about school environments. So 67% of public schools recorded at least one violent incident. This is going back to the 21-22 school year, coming from the National Center for Education Statistics. And according to an April 19, 2024 report by ABC News, you can see 415 people have been killed in U.S. school shootings since Columbine, which we just had the 25th anniversary in April of Columbine. So again, a few things to kind of point out. There is no profile of a student attacker. The targeted attacks at school are rarely sudden or impulsive, which is why our work was so important, so that we could put preventive measures in place. So these are, again, from the U.S. Secret Service, just some statistics on completed attacks versus averted attacks. And the goal is that we can prevent. Usually, again, doesn't happen by impulse. There's usually, you can see signs, you see a progression. They may share information on social media. They may plan and purchase items. So there's usually some signs and indicators so we can do something to avert these attacks. In this slide here, attackers versus plotters, it's really just to highlight that there's no profile, that there have been elementary students up to high school students that have been involved in attacks and plots. So this was recent. This was just updated last week because there was an incident in Louisiana on a high school football field, that there was a school shooting at a spirit event. It was an adult. So this was kind of just came out, actually. So these are kind of 2024 statistics. So in the 2024 school year, there have been 22 school shootings this year that resulted in injuries. You can see 22 school shootings, 7 people were killed, 29 injured. So this is it's a 2-minute video that kind of guided our work.
It threatened this school will. 2 students have been arrested since yesterday.
Kids make threats every day in school. Most of these threats are not serious. They're not going to result in violence. And so we don't want schools to overreact. And at the same time, schools are very worried that they don't want to underreact to the 1 in a million case that would have led to a shooting. Certainly, if a child brings a loaded firearm to school, we want law enforcement involvement. But if a child has a Pop-Tart that they chewed into the shape of a gun, we're not going to treat them like they're a criminal and need to be arrested or expelled from school.
Has that happened?
Absolutely. In schools using our model, the students report less bullying. They report greater willingness to report serious threats of violence like a gun in school. The teachers report that they feel safer. What we're trying to do with safety assessment and intervention, our threat assessment model, is make sure that every school is equipped to respond to problems before they escalate into violence, and to give students a place to go to, knowing that the response won't be punitive, it won't be harsh, it'll be fair, it'll be supportive, and it'll work toward resolving the problem. Schools are really a special place where we can intervene and do a lot to keep everyone safe.
So that threat assessment model by Dr. Dewey Cornell of University of Virginia, that they have a comprehensive guide in that one too, along with the Secret Service guidebook, was one of our guiding documents as we went through the steps to make sure that we are covering all bases in our procedures and plans. So again, behavioral threat assessment, it is a comprehensive approach, part of our school safety plan. It's fact-based, but it is case-specific. The goal is really early intervention and violence prevention. So we said, okay, building principals or a director, anyone who's in the school covering for the day as a principal, what if an administrator, a teacher, or a student comes to you and said, this is what I see in the bathroom or in the cafeteria on the wall? What are we going to do? What are the steps that we're going to take? So again, the goals are to identify those concerning behaviors of any individual and to notice any changes in behaviors, to assess the individual's behavior and determine the level of concern. And then again, to manage, to intervene, and to put strategies and supports into place and case manage. So how will they respond? So these are the forms that again come from the Dewey Cornell model along with the Secret Service model. And we have 6 forms that we've developed. We have shared the first 2 so far with our admin team to get feedback and go through, get their feedback and see what changes we need to be made. But this is kind of a screenshot, a little snapshot of our decision tree. This will kind of be their first go-to guiding document. If a student or staff member, reports that there's a concerning behavior, potential threat, they look at their decision tree and it'll tell them what steps to take. It'll give them information on determining if it's credible or non-credible, and then the other forms will guide them through the steps and procedures of how to proceed from there based on that information of credible or non-credible threat. We have a OneNote that we will be sharing with all of our building teams, building principals, and that'll guide them, and that'll have all the forms and all the information that they need in that to go to. This is a screenshot of that OneNote, so we'll have our updated Board of Ed policy once it's approved in there, the definitions and key terms, so they'll be able to go to that, the protocol, the steps are in there, and then most importantly, the forms that they're going to need to proceed. And the student reporting is our say something, do something, anonymous reporting. So our next steps, we're going to be working with the administrators this week during our retreats to continue to go through these forms. And to share with them the OneNote and explain all of the questions they might have. And we will do, then we're going to be asking the building administrator to turnkey this information to their building teams, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And then again, to continue to educate our students about the Say Do Something Anonymous reporting system. And we're also going to be piloting the Start with Hello program with 2 of our elementary buildings, which is a program offered by the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office. So we're piloting that come this fall with 2 of our elementary buildings. So as I stated, we're going to be asking the building principals to develop their teams come this fall, and this is who it's determined is best to have on your multidisciplinary team at the building level. So they'll have their principal, of course, the assistant principal, school resource officer, mental health support staff, psychologists, social workers, school counselors, deans if they have a dean in their building, any special education directors or staff that may be very familiar with the particular student, or other teachers that may be, familiar with that student and have knowledge on that student. And that is all for this evening, and I'm sure some questions may be coming.
Thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome.
I just have the Start with Hello program.
Yes.
Can you give us any information on that or send it to us?
Sure. Yeah, it was. I came across as it was offered. I mean, we know there's the National Start with Hello, Say Something program, and when we looked into it, they no longer offer it outside of the Sandy Hook region. So I came across. I think Dr. Jones had shared it with me that the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office is offering some of those programs. So I've been in contact and trying to coordinate and work to pilot that at least to see what that program can offer for our students.
So I think we have provided some qualitative and quantitative data to suggest that we are moving forward our district safety plan from the physical to the mental to the emotional to the proactive preparedness. And we will continue to keep the board updated and apprised. As I indicated, we plan to, Carolyn and John have done an amazing job in spearheading this committee work all throughout the year. And we did share some preliminary information in May with our administrators, but over the next 2 days, along with a whole lot of other information, we will be providing this to our administrators to make sure we're ready for the start of school.
Thank you.
Okay, after the, do we have any public comments or questions on the threat assessment that was just presented?
Sorry. Hi, really great job. A lot of good information. I have 2 questions. First is there liability related to determining a threat is non-credible? And then if perhaps something did happen? If somebody determines a threat non-credible and then there is an incident, like how does that reflect upon the school or the teacher or the staff member who may have made that determination? Is that a concern?
I mean, there is always a possibility that anybody can sue for any reason on a given day. So liability from the
I
perspective.
don't mean like in a litigious way. I mean just I can't hear what you're saying. Yeah, like almost like with, you can't use the Narcan, you know, or is there? Oh, I'm not a lawyer. I apologize. That would be part of it. Mm-hmm. So it's not like if you're a passerby and you give CPR to somebody who's in trouble, you can't. That's what I was kind of looking for. There's nothing in there that goes that way. Okay. And then the other question. So let's take a student who maybe tags the side of the building and puts something with spray paint, and then a student who in a bathroom writes what we saw up on there on the screen. This talked about being non-punitive and creating a relationship and having an assessment and following a student, and I understand all of that, but a student who does that on the side of the building is going to get suspended and have a consequence and be in trouble. And, you know, how do we balance that?
That's our role. So we did mention that there is an if-then type of chart. It is always discussed with me as well, the principal as well. If it was truly intentional and there was no mental emotional issue associated with it and it was clearly intentional, we have our ways of knowing if it's that. There may be one course of action because we want this to be deterred.
Sure.
We don't want students to think you can get away with doing anything you want because we'll just say, that's okay.
Make it
don't."
even more egregious,
Right.
you know, hateful or something, and then you don't have, you know, that's my,
Yeah,
especially when a kid
and-
who does something silly and stupid and makes a dumb mistake is going to have, you know,
Well,
consequence.
it typically goes to a superintendent hearing, and I typically handle about 200 hearings a year throughout the school year. And typically, when I'm done with the hearings, many of our students do not repeat the action. Some do, but many don't.
Could you just remind me how many days of suspension are required to then go to a superintendent hearing?
5.
5. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 10, presentations and/or reports. Tonight, we have James Ritchroth, Executive Director of Technology, will do a presentation regarding district branding.
It's very brief.
Yes.
Very,
I
very
will
brief.
Very brief. It is late. So thank you for allowing me to present to you tonight. So I wanted to discuss community engagement, and that will bring us into website redesign as well as branding. So Dr. Jones asked me to put this together. Some quick statistics on, I'll start with Facebook. So as we can see, I put 3 definitions at the bottom. I think they're important to understand the differences between the 3. So Facebook reach measures how many people see your content. Facebook visits, number of times your Facebook page was visited. And then Facebook engagement, any action a user takes on your page, such as likes, shares, comments, or clicks on a link if you do share that. So those are 3 important definitions to keep in mind as we're reviewing the Facebook statistics. So you can see over the last 12 months, we've had a Facebook reach of over 154,000. So more than 154,000 users have seen the content that we've shared on Facebook, which is pretty amazing considering, we're a district of about 7,500 students, 18,000 parents or so. Facebook visits, we've had about 95,000 Facebook visits over the last year, and you'll see there's a 32% increase over the last year in the number of Facebook visits that we've had. If I go to the next page, I showed the top 5 posts during the springtime. Facebook only allows me to go back a few months for posts, doesn't allow me to do a full gauge for a full year. So during the springtime, from the end of June all the way back until about February, these are the top posts, and we can see the reach as well as the engagement. Any questions on those 2 slides before I move on? The next one is YouTube. So
And
this is
James,
Sure.
where are you pulling it from? Is this Google Analytics? Where are you getting
No, this is Facebook Analytics.
It's Facebook's
Yep.
own. Okay.
Yep, Facebook's own. Yep. So YouTube is still new to us. We don't really have a huge YouTube presence. We mostly post, board meetings. We do some of the concerts on there. We do instructional videos and things like that. And I think over the next year, that's going to try and be a focus for us to increase engagement on YouTube and really show the things we're doing through video, because that seems to be kind of the way people are watching. And it's a great way to get all the great things that we're doing out there. So we see over the last year, 12 months, we've had about just under 5,000 views on our YouTube videos and a watch time of over 372 hours, which is great. And we've increased our viewership by 45 viewers over the last 12 months. I pulled again just the top 10 videos. This is YouTube Analytics. It's not Google Analytics. So these are the top 10 videos by views over the last 12 months.
I did want to draw to the board's attention that we added board meetings in here. So even when it looks poorly attended, you can see how many members of the community are actually watching board meetings. So I think it's important to know that community engagement looks different post-COVID. Sometimes folks are in person and sometimes they're watching afterwards when we post the information for the community to see.
Thank you. Yeah, so you can see actually the number one is a Board of Education meeting from March. We had 441 views on that. Senior slideshow, always a big draw, right? Everybody loves to see that slideshow. So there's 438 views for that, all the way down to Oregon's 6th grade concert with 131 views.
And
So-
those are unique views, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and it's great, and it's our goal again, hopefully over the next 12 months or so is to increase viewership and put out more videos. Working with Nate Brinkman, the director of music, I'm trying to put more of the musicals and concerts and things like that up so that we can just increase that engagement and show all the great things that we're doing. Any other questions on the YouTube analytics? No? Great. So the next one is Parent Square. Parent Square, again, our primary communication method. So this is what we use daily to communicate with parents and the community. Some really great statistics there is that second one down, 461,000 direct messages over the course of 12 months. That's how many times teachers and administrators are reaching out to parents, and parents are reaching out to teachers and administrators. So that's a really spectacular number to see.
So that's last August to now.
Correct. Yep. And then remember, Parent Square is still relatively new to us. It's only about 3 years old, and we did pilot it at the high school for a year before the other 10 schools came on. So to see this kind of growth this quickly, it's really great to see that everybody's utilizing it as much as they are. And then the next one to look at is the number of posts. So it's going to be on that right column, the third one up from the bottom, 18,822 posts. Those are the informational items that, you know, directors and principals and things like that are putting on their individual school pages. You know, there's a PTA meeting, there's an event happening, whatever it may be, or this great thing happened in 5th grade today. So that's really great too, to make sure that all that information is getting out to the community members. Questions on Parent Square statistics? No? Good. Website. So website is the big draw, right? So this is website draw over the last 12 months. This is Google Analytics. That's how we track our website usage. We can see that our homepage had 2.4 million hits over the last 12 months, with 182,000 of those being unique. The number 2 page, I'm kind of partial to this one, was the technology page, with just over 1 million hits and 55,000 unique views. That's kind of cheating, I think, for technology, because that's where all the parents go to get parent portal and the information about all their stuff. But it's great that they're actually utilizing that page to get all of that information. You can kind of go down the list and see, you know, the lunch menus are always going to be popular. The student homepage, the parent homepage. The parent homepage has all that important information about academics, safety, wellness, health, all that stuff is going to be on there. So those are going to be really top pages that we're going to see. The left is number of impressions. The one on the right is number of unique views. Okay. Anything else on that one? Okay, good. This is just something information I thought was pretty interesting to see locations and language. So you can see the different locations that are actually targeting or visiting our website. You know, where majority obviously is going to be, you know, Medford and Patchogue, but then you also see different cities and towns throughout Suffolk are viewing us pretty frequently. So you can have Coram's up there, Holtzville's up there, Ridge is up there, Rocky Point, Middle Island, Miller Place, Mount Sinai, Shirley, Bay Point, Center Reach, Bayshore. So it's popular. Other areas are.
Do you see New York City, 86,000 views? They're watching, and I think I share with you guys that my niece, who is pursuing her second master's at Queens College, was doing a business course, and they were passing out our budget brochure to review as part of the class, and I had no idea that was happening. So it's just interesting to know the different ways that we're being watched out there.
Thank you. And then, of course, the language one I always find interesting, too. We could see that, obviously, the primary language is English with 291,000 views, and then Spanish being 8,422, and Chinese being third with 1,132. Questions? Good? Awesome. So what does this lead us to? This leads us into the website redesign, right? This is something I think we've spoken about for a number of years, and it's something that we're utilizing all of this data that we're collecting to help redesign it. Over the last 2 years or so, we've utilized the district technology committee to survey, gain input from, you know, the stakeholders, parents and teachers and things like that have been on the committee with us. And these are some of the things that we've learned. What was the most common feedback? Information was stale or not updated frequently enough on the individual school pages, which was kind of expected once we moved to Parent Square. So figuring out how are we going to change that? How are we going to make that better? Or do we still need those individual news feeds for each school if everything is being posted to Parent Square? So those are some of the things that we have to consider when looking at a website redesign. But the most important thing is those data-driven decisions. So utilizing those traffic reports that I just showed you from our current website to make decisions on what pages are necessary and what pages should be highlighted. So we can see from the top 10, those are the top 10 places that users are going, that community members are going. So that's the information that we want to put front and center when we're redesigning the website. So the goal is obviously an easier and faster access to the most commonly needed resources. So I teased you a little bit. I didn't want to show you everything right away as we're still designing, but you can see in the top left an easier way to access schools. So the top left will be, you know, the school logo, so people can get right to the school, get the contact information, bell schedule, supply lists, whatever is necessary for that individual school. On the right, quick links is probably our most popular thing, making sure that the quick links are the things that people access the most. So ClassLink, right, for our students and teachers, the calendar, parent portal for our parents, food menu, right, number 7 on the top 10 list. We want to make sure that that's easy to get to because they don't to food menus often. And then the bottom left, that'll kind of be like a press release section. So all the press releases that are being put out with the information about the school, making sure that's easily accessible and highlighted for the community to see. And then on the right, it'll be the calendar and the news items that we do post on there. So it'll be an easier way to navigate the website, highlighting the information that's most frequently used. So the time frame of this is sometime, hopefully towards the middle of October to the end of October, to release it. We're working with Final Site. They purchased Blackboard, which was our previous content management system. They're great. They do a lot of schools. They're primarily in the K-12 industry, and we've been working with them probably for about a little over a year on what this looks like. They finished migrating the data from our current website to this platform over the summer. Just so you know, we have just over 3,000 pages on our current website, which is a lot. So we're definitely going to look to trim that down to make it easier to navigate. Questions?
Talk about the interactive nature as opposed to still pictures.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I was gonna leave that as a surprise, but okay. So no, it's great. No, it's great. In the springtime, we contracted with a videographer firm. So if you remember from graduation, there was a drone flying around, getting some drone footage of graduation. We had a videographer at prom when it was on Main Street to get the kids walking in and the kids dancing in the street. Then we had them go to different elementary field days to try and get that. And what we're going to do is, so when you go to the website, it'll be a video. There'll be 2 30-second videos of all of that different content that we've shot over the last year or so. And then we'll have more content being shot, like the first day of school. There'll be a videographer at one of the elementary schools and one of the middle schools to kind of get that first day of school, kids getting off the bus, going to the cafeteria the first day, all of that fun stuff. Just trying to, again, use video to highlight the great things that we do here. Questions?
Say this 30-second video, like they don't have to watch a 30-second video before they can get access.
No. So
Okay.
if you go to the website, if you go to even a lot of other school districts do it. So when you go to the first page, it's kind of the video is instead of having the banner of pictures, it'll be a video. It'll be a video for you. Yeah, and it makes it a little bit easier because the pictures, it's very difficult to get quality pictures to fit in that banner. One, for the safety of the students, right? We have to make sure that the media release, it's very hard. We're hoping that teachers are taking good pictures on their cell phones, sending it to us. So if we can get a professional video done, and the video keeps people's attention longer than the video. So we could leave the video up for 6 months and we only have to do it maybe twice a year as opposed to trying to cycle the pictures, every few weeks or so. Thank you. Questions? No? So during this process, we thought, oh, sorry, do you have a question?
No, sorry.
Okay, no. So during this question with redesigning the website and trying to use video and taking a cleaner approach, we thought, is it time to look at branding? So there's a lot of different logos throughout the district. Every school has their own mascot, but there's no real uniformity to it. So it's very hard to tell if you look at those 4 logos, what school they are. Do they belong to the Patchogue-Medford School District? So we want to try and change that to standardize it, but still providing a unique design for each building. Every building has their own mascot, aside from the secondary who share the Raiders. But how do we change that and how do we make that look better? Also, with branding, it takes on a whole larger aspect of what you're putting to the community, and you change how you are recognized. So you want to make sure that it's easily recognizable. So if someone gets something in the mail and they see the logo, they see the seal, they know it's from Patchogue-Medford School District. It's very similar to, everybody knows the Amazon logo, everybody knows the Google logo, Verizon, things like that. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that your brand is as recognizable as that. So that's the goal. So the first round of changes that we were looking at is we engaged with a few different firms and got pricing. And this is one of the things that they came up with. So changing the current PM logo to look at the proposed update. If you read the bottom reasoning for it, radiating lines represent guidance and inspiration, and then the connected letters represent working together as a school community and kind of putting that Patchogue-Medford together. So different designs, looking at changing a little bit to make it a little bit more recognizable. Also, there are a lot of organizations that may use our Patchogue-Medford logo without our permission. So being able to change it and update it might help us to either trademark or copyright it so that we own the rights to it and it's not being utilized in methods in which we don't.
Nothing's been finalized, trustees. This is
Yep.
all up for
Yep.
conversation.
Yeah, but it's something to think about, to modernize, to standardize, to see what different options are out there for us.
Could you give us some more options?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing is finalized, but it's important just to think about it and say, okay, what changes are you willing to accept, and what's going to resonate well with the community.
So what's wrong with the current logo or branding? Like what people are stealing? Is that
People keep
what's
using it. We want to.
You mean like when we walk into the CVS store and they're selling like
Correct.
stuff with God?
Correct. Yeah, and we want to modernize it a little bit, change it, make it more recognizable. And when you do a brand change, it brings attention to you. When somebody changes their logo or design, it brings that attention to you. So now if we have it and everything's all online, it'll also increase our engagements through the different platforms that we're utilizing.
So we've also been working with our PR firm on this as well to make sure that they're involved as well. So this was just to begin the conversation, recognizing this is a journey. This is not something that you just say, okay, effective this date, you're going to do this. One of the steps first was to modernize the website, given that the board level committee had been working on this for so long. And I know Trustee D'Onofrio has been asking, and the rest of the board, for an update to the website for quite some time. And so given that we have accumulated so much feedback from the community, we are well positioned to begin the process. That would be the first step. We thought it was important for you to see the level of engagement, because it's not always visible when you come to a school board meeting like tonight, even though, after an hour or two, folks have other things to do, but others are watching it online, and you wouldn't know that unless you were looking at the analytics. So I think it's important from time to time for us to share this with you so you know the level of engagement that is out there, and this is actual data.
Is this being discussed in your committee this year? Are you guys talking about branding?
So this year is going to be branding, website conversation, and probably AI is going to be the three big things on our.
Okay.
Any other questions for us? We've been having quite a busy summer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. It's doing an excellent job.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So James, the functional changes like on the website look great. I mean, modernizing that and getting it to work faster and more in sync.
Correct.
Is
Just make it
great.
more simplistic to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we need.
The goal too is with Parent Square, so much more information is being pushed out on Parent Square that those individual huge school websites are really not necessary anymore. It's really probably 2 or 3 pages. Contact information, how to contact a nurse, attendance office, main office, supply list, bell schedule. That's really what the menus. That's really what the parents. Yeah, that's what the parents. That's what the parents.
The website is stale.
Yes. We do. If you, and we did this on the committee. I asked the committee members to go and look at other school district websites and see how much information we post compared to what they, and we post so much more information.
Which is why we're getting so much more views.
Yes.
I guess this is a CMS that the whole district will have, because obviously there's a lot of people who are doing updates to the website, different schools, different departments. So they'll have then, again.
We centralize it. So we don't allow everybody to do it because of ADA compliance and things like that. We kind of took that away a few years ago to make sure that everything we post
goes through James's.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. Again, so from the style guide, whenever you get to the final style guide, it's all ADA compliant.
absolutely.
I mean, that's people don't even think about that when they think of a website. Well, why is that ADA compliant? But it has to.
Has to federally comply.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the tricky thing too with all the PDFs that we do post and stuff like that. And Deirdre does a great job of making sure that they're all ADA compliant and things like that for us.
So you're getting a sneak peek into all the work that's going to be over the next several days with our administrators at our retreat.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Okay, moving on to number 11. No, it's after that. Report by our ex officio student member, Ella McCann. Thank you for your patience, Ella.
I'll try to keep this brief. Okay, hi. My name is Ella McCann, and I'm so grateful to be the new ex officio student member of the Board of Education. So the purpose of this presentation is just to get to know me a little bit. Oh, perfect, thank you. The purpose of this presentation is just to get to know me a little bit, since I will be the representation of student voice. So here we go. So I'm a rising senior at the high school, and I hold many leadership positions in multiple clubs and activities, but I did only highlight my favorites throughout this presentation. I am one of 2 GO co-presidents, and I am the class of 2025's treasurer, which are both heavily involved in community events. I'm also a proud competitive dancer at Stage Door School of Dance, and I love that they foster a community atmosphere, which I hope to bring here. With that, I'm also an AP student, and I pride myself on my work ethic and my determination. So diving into my favorite week of the year, homecoming, I spend most of my time helping and planning everything to run smoothly. As both co-president and treasurer, I pretty much live at the float site all week, and I think that homecoming is a great staple in our community as it spreads so much PatMed pride. Also, I'm one of 3 Raiderettes captains this upcoming season, which is such an honor, and I'm so excited to choreograph all home football games and basketball games, including homecoming. This week is so special to me because it's when our schools all join together, and it is something that I hope to replicate at these meetings. Continuing on, I am a competitive dancer, and I have the great opportunity to teach both We Dance and younger competitive dancers. So We Dance at my studio is a program where I teach special education students how to dance, and I am a shadow to them. Being a shadow is when I am able to direct them to dance based on their needs, which ranges all different ages and abilities, making it such a great and inclusive program. Both student teaching and We Dance allow me to have an impact on the journeys of aspiring dancers, both in and outside of the studio. I am also a part of the Elite Company, which is my biggest commitment outside of school, and it has been my passion for as long as I can remember. Next, in June 2023, I attended a youth leadership seminar called HOBie at Adelphi University, where students from schools all over the states are selected to meet together to attend this seminar to talk about ways to demonstrate leadership and to foster community aspects. So I will try to use all that I learned there to apply to our community. Lastly, I am a part of a family of 4 which have been heavily involved in the Patchogue-Medford community. My brother is a sophomore at SUNY Geneseo, and he graduated from the high school in 2023. And my dad is a former Patchogue-Medford youth lacrosse coach, and my mom is a current TA at Oregon Middle School. And that's me. So thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to work together this year.
I just want to commend Ella. I don't know how you're standing with all of that you're trying to balance. It really is commendable, and we look forward to working with you this year and learning more about you and you representing the student voice of all of the schools this year. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ella. Okay, moving on to number 12, public comments on reports and agenda items. Mr. Logan, would you please read the ground rules?
Again, this is limited to 3 minutes per person. I'll warn you after 2.5. Please do not discuss specific students or specific staff members. Additionally, on the agenda which you received, item N was deleted for more consideration, so that's not on the revision you guys got this afternoon.
So I'd like to first start with item T, policy 6147. You know, at the beginning of the meeting, I remembered what it was about, but now I don't. Can you remind me? Oh, I think it's technology use. Right? Is that's one? So what were the significant changes? I feel like I read it and then I thought it was okay. I didn't write any notes down. We'll move on. I only have 3 minutes. So I liked your presentation about the website. I've been on the technology committee for many years, and I know we've been talking about it, and I know that it's been a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, as well as everybody here, so that was great. I do feel like the analytics, though, I wish more people were watching and accessing, you know, board meetings and all of that other stuff. It really was an average of about 1.5 minutes that most people watched, except for that one big board meeting in March, which had Newsday here for a little while too. So it was obviously a meeting people were talking about. But students don't have access to YouTube, right? That's blocked for them? So in the high school, if a science teacher posts a YouTube video, is that something that those students can access on their school technology through their Schoology and or Teams or whatever platform they're using? So it's not a flat YouTube. Okay. And it's really nice to meet you, Ella. Congratulations on your position. I wrote something else that I wanted to ask about. Oh, with the overhead drones that videotape things, how do you ensure with the media release and stuff?
Sherry, you're supposed to be addressing the chair.
Oh, sorry. How
I'm going to direct it right to James anyway.
how do you ensure with the drones and things that people who are going to be posted up on the website have signed or have not declined the media release and that type of stuff?
We have media release forms that at the start of the school year with the back
Sure,
to
we
school.
just did them.
Yeah, back to school packets. So with this, if it's a drone where you can't see an individual's face, then there is no issue. If there is one that we're concerned about, we do our protocol check with that parent. And if there is an issue, they'll be excluded.
Okay. It just seems like a very broad brush, like taking kids coming off the bus on the first day and kids dancing at the prom and all of that kind of stuff. And I just, again, thinking about the district, just making sure that everybody's satisfied. I think that's it. I won't remember the other one, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's it. Start with hello sounds very interesting. I'm going to read up. Thank you.
Good evening. Jody Moran, 51 First Avenue, Medford. So my question is about the branding process, and I would like to know if the district would consider allowing the community to be involved in the process by way of a survey when final drafts have been completed.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah, we're all on board with that.
Only 20 seconds, Jody. That's impressive.
No other questions? Comments? Okay, we're going to move on to item number 13, which is the approval of the consent agenda.
Second?
Yep.
Right. It's a second.
Got it. Okay, roll call vote. Let me get down to that page. It's a long consent agenda. Okay, Ms. Andrade.
Yes.
Mr. D'Onofrio.
Yes.
Jennings.
Yes.
Ms. Krieger is absent. And Mr. Salazar.
Yes.
Ms. Smith. Yes. Mr. Negrin.
Yes.
The consent agenda was approved.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. I'd just like to take a moment before we go any further into tonight's agenda. I just wanted to make a statement. Let's take a moment to honor a truly remarkable individual. This evening, we extend our heartfelt best wishes to Dennis Logan as he presides over his final Board of Education meeting, marking the end of an illustrious career. After more than 17 years of dedicated service as the district clerk for the Patchogue-Medford School District, Dennis is retiring, leaving behind a legacy of excellence and unwavering commitment. His meticulous attention to detail, exceptional communication skills, and deep knowledge have been vital to the district's achievements. Dennis's behind-the-scenes efforts have ensured the smooth and efficient operation of the Board of Education. Throughout his tenure, Dennis has exemplified professionalism, integrity, and a steadfast dedication to supporting the board. He has worked closely with numerous board members and superintendents, providing valuable guidance and assistance in fulfilling their responsibilities. Mr. Logan has diligently maintained records of monthly board meetings, legal matters, school budget votes, and countless other tasks. Beyond his role as a district clerk, Dennis is a proud alumnus of Patchogue-Medford and is a lifelong resident devoted to the well-being of our community. As he steps into the well-deserved retirement, we wish him joyful, healthy, and prosperous future for himself and his family. Dennis will be deeply missed, and we express our profound gratitude and thanks for his countless contributions while congratulating him on his new chapter in his life.
I'd like to echo everything that Mr. President indicated relative to your stellar record of service to this district. Your commitment and dedication is unwavering. We, just wish you the very best in retirement. We know you're just really down the block. But we really honor and appreciate you this evening for all that you have done for this school district to make it better. Oftentimes, the mark of greatness is that when you leave a place, wherever it is, that it's better than when you started. And we can unequivocally say that Dennis, the district is better because of the service that you have given to this district. So with that being said, we have a resolution. Mr. President, you would like me to read it? Very well. So this resolution says, whereas Dennis Logan has tendered his resignation as a member of the Patchogue-Medford School District for the purpose of retiring as of August 31st, 2024, and whereas he has faithfully served the Patchogue-Medford School District as a school district clerk since July 6, 2007, a total of 17.2 years. And whereas he has met his responsibilities, reliability, and efficiently done his work, and as a result earned the respect of his colleagues, administrators, parents, and students, and whereas because of his concern and interest, the lives of hundreds of children from the Patchogue and Medford communities have become richer. Now, therefore, be it resolved that by means of this testimonial, the Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools, on the occasion of his retirement, seek to express their sincere appreciation for his years of service to the school district and to the children of the community, and take this opportunity to join with his colleagues in extending best wishes for a very happy retirement. And it is signed by every member of the Board of Education and me as Superintendent of Schools. Thank you, Dennis.
Come around, we'll hug both of them.
Dennis, should you do one last countdown?
Please. Nice. Only silvers and blues and maybe here and there. That's about, can't do that. So 17 years ago, there was only one board member who didn't vote for the district clerk, and that was me. But I wasn't voting against Dennis. I was voting against having a full-time district clerk, because before that, the district had a part-time district clerk. And I got to tell you, Dennis has truly proven the value of this district having a full-time district clerk. Thank you, Tom.
So I guess I could say I was wrong. I'll say I was wrong. But yeah, no, Dennis has done a fantastic job, and he's built this position over these 17 years to being an invaluable position for this district. And definitely going to be missed, but I know we'll see you around. And very, very difficult to replace. So you've left an incredible legacy. Also, Dennis is the person that you go to when it's like, okay, what happened in the district in 1962? And Dennis will come up with some piece of information showing the district way back when and who was in what position and even documents. And Dennis, where did you find this
You just
document?
sent out those pictures of South Ocean.
Just sent
With
out
the bell
South
tower.
Ocean pictures for the and who was the architect on that? Yeah, it's like, right, exactly. So that'll be something that the new district clerk is going to have to kind of understand how to do and dig, but never be able to know what you know about who was where and when and where the bodies are. Dennis knows. So thank you, Dennis, for 17 years of outstanding service. Remember the first day when Dennis out on the lawn of South Ocean and we all came rallying around, what's going on? The board's being blocked out of a meeting and Dennis became the, I guess, the pro temp district clerk for that meeting, and then it started from that point on. So congratulations on retirement.
Okay, moving along. Oh, sure.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay, start the clock.
No sharing of minutes.
So, driving here tonight, I realized that I was coming to Saxton Middle School before I was born. My mother was the secretary to the superintendent, and before I was born, she resigned as the secretary to the superintendent. The superintendent's office was in Saxton. So I have been coming to Saxton Middle School for 64 years, which absolutely blew me away. I have loved this run. You know that my love for this district is unquestioned. And I've served with many, many wonderful people, both on the board, in the administration, as teachers, staff members, bus drivers, cafeteria ladies. It's just been a wonderful ride, and I thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to be able to do it for all these years. So thank you.
Okay, moving on. Number 14, there were no items removed from the consent agenda for a separate vote. Number 15, informational items. First, we have first reading policies. There's actually 32 of them up for this month.
Don't read them
I'm
all.
splitting them up again, yes. Then Section B, second policy readings. Trustee D'Onofrio had a question about reading 1338.
So it's a simple question, right? So this policy is on the school facilities being used for blood drives. And in the policy, it talks about retaining a insurance on that. So my question was, and again, I could have asked this question to Dr. Jones privately, but bring this out to the public. So the question really became, usually when there's a blood drive, there's some blood service that's running that. It's not like somebody is just going to do a blood drive, right? Dracula. But
is that insurance like really sort of like the policy that like, New York Blood Center would have retained the policy to?
Yes, New York Blood Center is the one that is actually running that.
And they would be the one that would actually
Yes,
be holding the policy. Right. So it's not really like, okay, so the PTA is running it or the teachers union is running it. It's really, they just extend it out to making sure that the service they're bringing in. And the amount on that, Frank, is
I don't
the
know
normal
I don't
amount?
know the amount offhand, but I know it's in accordance with what NYSER has recommended, but we can get you those numbers. It's not.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not blocking anything by changing some number, and we've been doing blood drives in the district for a long time, and then find out that, New York Blood Center comes back and says, oh, wait a minute, now you're asking for this amount.
No.
It is in line with what it is. Okay.
Everything is in line, and they would certainly have higher levels of insurance to cover what they do and where they go. The intent was to actually make it more accessible to the community by lowering the limit from the 3 million to the 2 million, which NYSER has indicated is acceptable.
Also, I actually wrote the policy many, many years ago, and one of the things we required based on council telling us to was individual participants in the blood drives have to provide releases when they give the blood, verifying they know what they're doing and withholding and putting the responsibility onto the blood service and really taking the responsibility away from the district.
And that's what the blood service does.
Right.
They have you fill out a form.
But we have a separate, that whole homeless form actually comes back to us, which
Right.
isn't a normal practice in many places.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 16. There were no actions arising out of the executive session. And number 17 would be Dr. Jones' superintendent comments.
I will be extremely brief because I would say that a lot of the reports were hopefully informative. I just want to report a few things as we prepare for back to school. We have spent the entire summer finding out, trying to develop strategic manners to get messages to the community. I also commend James Richroth because there was a new technology, news kind of article, a news reel to get out to the community, to the parents to be more informative with links, etc., through Parent Square. We have broken up the back to school packets of information in a way that, if you have many children or more than one building, that it would be more understanding of your time. We have been hard at work all summer getting the buildings ready. And so at the September meeting, we will have full back-to-school opening day reports. But for now, we're super excited. We had new teacher orientation today. We oriented 61 new teachers to the district. Every year we think, Dr. Cohen, it's going to be a lighter ride, but it gets even more challenging. So there will be a full report in September on all of the employees that were hired. But we're happy to say that they're a delightful bunch and many pictures were taken today. The teachers union hosted lunch with the administrators and the teachers today, so that was great. We have a 2-day retreat starting tomorrow at 8, going all day tomorrow and all day Wednesday for a total of probably 16 hours straight of information that we will be sharing with them to make sure that they are all ready and that we are speaking with one voice. A conference day is scheduled for September 3rd and 4th next week. We have keynote speakers. We have all kinds of professional development that's scheduled for all of our teachers, all of our staff members. All of that is scheduled for next week, so we're super excited about that. And I believe it's South Ocean that is going to be celebrating their 100th birthday in September, which is humongous. And so you will hear more about that, festivities, and a number of other festivities as we prepare to ribbon cut for our new ACES room at Barden that will be coming probably toward the end of September. Lots of exciting things, and we're looking forward to a bright school year where our children grow and continue to learn and thrive here every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Number 18, there were no discussion topics brought forward for this month. And next, we have number 19, community comments. Anybody that wanted to come up to make some comments, they're more than welcome at this time.
I really just want to wish congratulations to Mr. Logan. Really, I think it's fantastic. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful retirement, and give your stopwatch to somebody who will know how to use it. Thank you. When I'm not talking, watch stuff.
I'm going to go back to discussion topics. There was a topic on a previous alumni that wants to make a donation of a plaque to the school. We're going to table it till next month when I can gather more information to make the conversation more applicable to what that person's objectives were on that. Okay?
Yep.
Board comments. So let's start down at the other end.
Start. I think first and foremost, I'd like to thank all the presenters tonight. I thought they did a wonderful job with providing us with relevant and impactful information. One thing in particular that I'm very happy to hear about is the installation of the locks on the doors, the safety locks, emergency locks. I think it's something as simple as that is very important because, it shows how much we value our safety here with something that, I think it's still a statistic where not one locked door, I think, has ever been breached by a school shooter. So there's something, time becomes very important and stuff like that. And that is just a simple thing that we have done across the district that is going to, provide a lot more safety for our children. I also want to thank the administration, custodial staff, technology, security, all those involved in all the hard work they did this summer, to prepare us for the school year. We saw a lot of things going on this year that was great, and they're going to make this school year another fantastic year. And I think lastly, Dennis, once again, thank you so much. I'm sure I'll see you around the block. Dennis is almost a neighbor of mine, and he used to tell me stories of how he used to jump off my garage and how he actually broke his ankle when he was a child jumping off my current garage. So no jumping off the garage, but you'll provide yourself more time, to do fun things with your dogs and grandkids and all stuff like that. So congratulations, and I'm sure I'll see you around. Thank you.
Also, I'll be very brief. All of these reports were fantastic today. I'm thrilled about the security upgrades. I'm very happy to learn about the changes that are being made to the drills. I think those are well passed, and they're welcomed changes. I'd like to learn more about the Narcan thing, but that's not for now. I also wanted to let you know that Dr. Cohen and Mr. Richroth and I met several representatives from AT&T a few weeks ago to do a site visit at the high school to assess some signal strength issues, and that's more information coming on there. And that's it. Dennis, thank you very much for teaching us all of the things that we could not have learned what we learned and been as strong a board, I think, without a lot of your input and guidance. Thank you.
I just want to also say, since I sit on Eastern Suffolk BOCES, we actually appointed a director superintendent, Dr. Jasmine Varela, who will start on September 3rd. So along with David Wicks, she'll also now have a director or superintendent. I thought all the presentations were great. It was very informative to know what's going on. I have the lockdown shades in my room. And we don't have those locks down, but we do have like where my doorknob just on the outside. So it's very nice to see that it's incorporating into this district. And Dennis, I don't say I've probably known you since I was probably really little, since your mom was in my grammar school forever. So it goes way back. But we've had a lot of fun memories, and I'll definitely miss you on this board. But I'll know I'll see you around.
I'll get to you. The board attended the annual scope dinner a few weeks back. I don't know if I'm stealing anybody else's thunder, because sometimes Mark looks at me like, oh, I was going to talk about that.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. But it was interesting, and Dr. Jones, you'll help me with this, right? But our regent, Roger Tillis, said that there's a real shortage of teachers. And we kind of laugh, and I'm sure Dr. Cohen and the team were like, well, I don't know. We saw a lot of applicants come through, so there's really not a shortage of teachers, especially with our Long Island schools, and we're, certainly the, the schools that we have that are teaching or teacher schools. So that was kind of odd. And then he also brought out about alternate pathways, and that the regents are finally looking to adopt new policies towards alternative pathways to graduation, right? And it's taken them 10 years to get to this point. So I'm telling you, we need a revamp of New York State regents, because it's a little ridiculous how much time they take to make what we all see as obvious. And we have members of our community, including Manny Faluzis, as you all know, who's been pushing for this for so many years, to have all these different opportunities for students to be able to graduate and achieve success. And, when I heard him say that, he was like proud that, after 10 years, they finally got to this. I'm like, 10 years?
The light went on.
I mean, yeah, right. Did all of a sudden the light go on with you guys? So... And I know our professional educators are kind of hold back on this, but I think we all realize that. And of course, Roger Tillis wants to stay on for another, 5 years term, whatever it is. Yeah. It's like another 5. He wants to stay on for another 5-year term. We need new people in there who are actually going to fight for our students and are going to look at education in a new way, in an improved way. I'll laugh, James, and I'll say, it's like we've got 286 computers that we're running in our district. Like, come on. We just have to adapt. So that's kind of a call out. I know nobody actually will listen to this at the regions, but I think we definitely need to be a push, from our district towards improving what happens up there. And they are approved by our legislators, so maybe we start with our legislators and get out to them and say, guys, you got to do something about this. As far as Dennis is concerned, like I said before, we'll definitely miss you. Got a lot of great memories, a lot of things we've been through. And like I said, I know I'll see you around, and we'll definitely go out and, have dinner and a couple of things. And your family, what a great family. I mean, of course, our kids, went to school together, and we remember all the stories of things that they did and we laugh about. And, you'll definitely be missed, so.
I just want to say the presentations were great. I would like to see if we could I know there's maybe some copies of what we saw tonight, presentations, either emailed to us. And yes, I ditto what Tom says about our regions, and I think in my basement 12 years ago, we started talking about this and listening to, it's great that it's finally starting to happen, but it shouldn't take that long. So in legislative committee, maybe this year, that can definitely be a topic to start to have a conversation about. And then Dennis, it's been great. You were supposed to wait for me. No. But you will be missed. Thank you for all your wisdom and all your advice and just that go-to person that, was there for us. And you will definitely be missed.
Okay.
Danny.
Okay, so first thing I wanted to say was being part of this district safety committee for my second year, I am kind of blown away by all the things that I heard were going to be talked about and presented and, maybe do this or do that and so on and so forth. And I shared this with the committee the other day when they unveiled all this stuff. It's amazing that everything that was asked for and said that was going to happen is actually either done or almost done. So I think that's an amazing thing that our administration, our committees, we listen to what the community has to say. We put stuff into motion, actions are taken, and things get done. So I would like to thank, Jody's back there clapping her hands, and she was part of that committee. And, just bring it, we listen, and if we can make a change, we will. That's our role. Secondly, the presentations tonight were outstanding. Everybody learned something. It's a new school year. We have new goals, and of course, with new goals, we have new accomplishments, so that's what we're all looking forward to. And finally, I've been part of almost every committee in my tenure, going on 8 years now, and I'm really, really excited, James, to be part of your committee this year. Between an updated website and AI and all that kind of stuff, it's really stuff that's happening. And when you talked about the other day about reaching out to all the service providers and having a cell tower designated to our schools, I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, so people are asking for better service in the schools, and he's out there trying to get it. So it's, right there. Dr. Jones and say again?
Dr. Cohen, too.
And Dr. Cohen. I mean, all that work, that. The thing is that all the stuff that gets done behind the scenes and it just appears, it doesn't just appear. The amount of work and effort that has to go into it by everybody, whether it be presented to the board for approval and then everybody at the other side of this table doing all the work, it's just something to be really proud of, and our district shows it. So that's it. Thank you.
Motion?
For what? Motion for what?
Close.
Oh, I'm teasing.
Second?
I'll second. Oh, no, let Bernadette second. Bernadette got in there first. We got to get buzzers, I think. Aye.